What's up guys, Udimsa here. Today we're back again. In this video we're going to be playing some Irelia in the jungle. So I thought I'd try Irelia in the jungle. I always see a bunch of people posting screenshots and stuff talking about how strong Irelia is, but I notice most of the time they always like to play Irelia in mid lane or something like that. But I definitely do think jungle Irelia is pretty solid, and I have played it in the past, and I do have another video on it if you want to check it out. But I do think it's a solid option, especially for this patch. I think it's a really solid pick if you can actually master Irelia. So that's what we're going to be going for. In this match, we're actually jungling up against a Lee Sin. And right now, to start off with, I'm just starting off with my red buff. And right now, I'm trying to decide what kind of rotation do I want to do. And you really have to keep in mind that early game, Lee Sin will beat me out pretty easily. But an important thing to keep in mind is that jungle is not a 1v1 role. And that's a big misconception that a lot of people have, is it has a lot to do with your other lane matchups too, and who's going to rotate and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm paying attention to my lane matchups, and I decide I only want to clear my red side jungle and go for this bottom side scuttle. Now, why is that? Look at my lane matchups in mid lane and bot lane. Both of them are hard counters to each other. Both Galio does super well into Katarina, plus I know if a fight breaks out, we will be able to win just because our side lanes have the advantage. But over here, that was a really good ward by the Galio, warding that top bush or that top area. Since a lot of junglers do like to go for like those level 2 cheese ganks through mid lane. So that's something to be aware of if you are a mid laner. And right now, what do I know that the Lee Sin's doing right now? I know he went to his blue buff. His rotation is he cleared his red buff, then he cleared his raptors, and now he's on his blue buff. So I'm actually trying to rush this super quick. And notice something, I'm pinning the scuttle up against the pit. That way, if Lee Sin does come, he still can't even get in smite range, and it's going to be way harder for him to get the steal. Because if you didn't know, now I can go for this top scuttle, because I know Lee Sin's now, he's checking out the bot side scuttle, and he's realizing that I already took it. So I actually head up here, and I try and take this super fast. And now I'm looking at this top side and seeing if there's a potential gank. And I see they're pretty overextended. They just warded this up. So they do start to back off. And this misfortune does get the kill onto our Vayne, sadly, but I'm chasing him down. That exhaust was a pretty solid exhaust. That negated a lot of my burst damage right there. But I was still able to pick up the kill, and now I can get out. And we traded 1-for-1 right there, which is fine. I'm looking to see if I can get a good combo onto the Senna, but it looks like they know I'm here, so I decided to just reset. Now, I don't go for the blue buff because I don't really like to mess with the blue buff when I'm low health against a Lee Sin. Because a lot of Lee Sin players, they like to play super aggro, like to go for that blue buff invade. And staying low like that is how you die to Lee Sins, going for the blue buff. So yeah, that's why I just said it's better to just reset. And now I have my ultimate so I can combo off really quickly. So as you can see, Lee Sin was literally in the area. If there was a ward on that blue buff and that started it up, he probably would have been able to kill me and get the blue buff. So that was good that I waited it out. But as I was saying, you can actually make the scuttle. You can control where the scuttle goes. And actually, can y'all guess why I'm going for this gank in the top side again? And I know there's a ward in that bot bush over there, so I don't even go there. Or there's a cam there. Ward. So there's a very specific reason why I go for this gank over here. And it's that I know all their summoner spells are down. They both burned Flash. They both burned their other summoner too, their Exhaust and Ignite. So they literally have no summoner spells up. Plus they have no big mobility abilities. They don't have any big dashes or anything like that. So no, it's a pretty easy gank now. Now, if that was something like an Ezreal, I probably wouldn't have gone for it because they would just blink out and that would have been a waste of my time. But I know with the Misfortune Senna, they can't escape that easily without their flashes. So now, I don't know why Renekton's up there. That's what I'm looking at. I'm like, what is Renekton doing? So I'm a bit confused as to why he made that rotation up there. That was a pretty early rotation in my opinion. He kind of just died right before the dragon. So now I have to go to this bot side to try and push this wave back a bit. But now the objectives have spawned. And again, looking at these objectives, what do I want to do? And I actually missed my stun there. What do I want to do for these objectives? I want to play towards this Herald. And the reason for that is, again, both my bot lane with the Renekton versus Yasuo and the mid lane with the Galio versus Katarina, both of those are good matchups for my side. So I know by starting a fight over here, my teammates will be rotating first. We're going with the positioning advantage, and it's just going to be so much of a better look than forcing a fight at the dragon where clearly our Vayne and Lulu are having a bit of a hard time early on versus a Misfortune, which makes sense because Misfortune, of course, has way more poke in lane, and Vayne just needs some time to scale. So I'm able to pick this up, as you can see, they really even weren't able to contest. Like, they could not get good positioning or anything. They didn't have good warding or anything because we had to push it back the entire time. But now I drop this Herald here and I start heading towards this dragon. So the reason why I placed that Herald here is because I predict that a fight's going to break out here. So if this fight does happen, then the Herald is just going to go ham on the turrets. Or, which is what's happening right now, they just go for the Herald and try to save their mid turret. And we just get this dragon. So that was good for us. We got like a plate and a half or 2 plates on the mid turret. Plus we got the dragon from that. So now I'm looking for a good gank, seeing a good opportunity. And that's why I'm hanging around in this area, keeping an eye out. So actually, there's another reason why I'm comfortable going for this. And it's because I think Lee Sin is not here. And the reason for that is, that was first of all a really good combo. If you did not know, you can combo your flash and your ultimate to... And this is just why Irelia is broken, first of all. And your combos are so strong. You can combo your flash and your ultimate to gap close really, really well. And it's a super fast and clean combo if you didn't see. But the reason why I was comfortable forcing this was because I was pretty sure that Lee Sin was going to go on his blue side. And the reason for that is, when we were at that dragon, when that Herald was down in the mid lane, Lee Sin was clearing his entire red side jungle. That's what he was doing in the meantime. So I know that by clearing the entire red side jungle up, what's left on his part? That blue side. So meaning he's probably going to rotate to that blue side jungle to farm up. So I knew he probably wasn't going to be on the top side to counter gank or anything. But I'm going back to that scuttle thing, which I was talking about earlier, and pinning it against the pit far away from the Lee Sin. The scuttle actually runs in the opposite direction from you. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go back and look at it. So whatever direction you approach the scuttle from, it runs exactly in the opposite direction away. So you can actually control where the scuttle goes. And by doing that, you can almost make it so it's so hard for them to come and get a steal. Because as you can see from that angle that we were at back there, it's very hard to just get the steal. So now again, I know that Lee Sin's back on this side of the map. And I'm keeping an eye out for this Lee Sin. That's really what I'm doing. He flashes out, which is unfortunate. That's an okay trade, though. I think we're still able to... Let's see if we're still able to pick up the kill. Yes, we are. Sadly, our Galio goes down, but it's still totally worth it. But now we're getting this turret here. And now we got all the first tier turrets. And why do I think that's huge? It's because getting these first tier turrets, it opens up the map so much. Like, look at how aggro I can play. Look at my positioning now. I can invade their jungle. I can do pretty much whatever I want. And that's why it's so vital to get these first tier turrets. And in fact, I think sometimes it's even worth trading it over the dragon, just because, for example, getting that first tier mid turret, that just helps so much because now the enemies have nowhere to retreat to, and anytime they're in their jungle, they're in danger now because they don't have that first tier turrets. So what do I do here? Where do I go from here right now? What do I know just happened? The blue side just got cleared, and what is spawning right now? Or what's going to spawn soon? That red side jungle. So that's why I'm starting to pad towards it. I want to set up for a good invade over here when everything spawns over here, since they're all going to come on this side to farm up once the red buff spawns and everything. So what am I doing right now, actually? I'm just setting up for it. After I clear this, I'm going to go and push out this wave. Now we're going to have our wave in a good position to set up for a good invade. And this is going to be a really good look. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. I'm pushing this wave out as far as I can before that red buff spawns. Because I know it's about to spawn in a second. Since he had just cleared his blue side jungle, so now his red side's going to spawn next. And that's a really good way to track timers and stuff. Just track it by red versus blue side. And they're going to go back and forth between them. And sadly, my team just does not come. I was trying to ping them, but they did not. It looks like they weren't ready or they didn't want to follow up or something. So sadly, I do have to give up the entire look. But if we had a really coordinated team and we all knew what was going on, that would have worked out very well. And that's just something to keep in mind that you can do. So I just had to just get a reset and get a shop in. And I actually, for some reason, there's a recommended build on. It's not the build that I have for Irelia. So actually, I'm deciding what to go at. I don't really know what enchantment to go. I'm looking at what to get. And I just decided to just unlock it. Just more team utility. Why not? You can go a lot of things on Irelia. You can go Gargle. You can go Stasis. You can go Lockets. Pretty much most things work. Well, yeah, the 2 core items for damage-wise are definitely Trinity Force and Blade of the Ruin King. Both of those items are so good on Irelia. So now we were able to pick up the dragon. Our Galio did a super good job of zoning out the enemy jungler, and that's really vital because Lee Sin has a pretty good secure with his first ability Execute plus a smite at the same time. So by zoning him out, that ensures I get the smite. So that was really good on the Galio's part. And over here now, I'm being very careful against this Yasuo. And something to note against the Yasuo when you are playing Irelia is his wind wall will block off your ultimate. So just keep that in mind. And over here, I do make a very vital mistake, and I want to see if y'all can guess what it is. And it's very key when playing assassin champs, these type of high burst champs, where you're trying to get in, assassinate somebody, and then get out as fast as you can. And it's hard CC. CC is what screws most junglers over, because a lot of them are like that, where they go in, they want to get a kill or something, and then they want to dip out before they get completely bursted down like I did. And I really failed in that part. And what was the reason for that? I failed to consider the center route. So I should have waited for the center route to come out first and then gone for the dive. And that would have ensured that I wouldn't have gotten CC'd or anything, and I could have gotten out whenever I wanted to, instead of getting rooted underneath the turret like I did. And that just made it easy for the enemies to land all their abilities. And that really kind of just screwed me over. But now I could take my red buff. I'm pretty much just farming up at this point. My team is pushing the top side of the map. But again, I do think Irelia is a super strong jungler that more people should play, but after these items, other ones you can go for, Sterix, Death Stance, Guardian Angel, or solid last items, or whatever defense you need. So here now, again, I know that the blue buff is spawning, and I'm setting up for it. After I take this, I'm just going to wait to see who comes here, because I know they're going to come for this blue buff eventually. They don't know I took it yet. So I'm waiting to see who shows their face, and I'm going to combo them. So this is the Yasuo. Luckily, I was able to get the combo off fast enough so he didn't even get his wind wall off. And I was able to burst him down. And now I see the Lee Sin, and I'm like, okay, I can beat out this Lee Sin now. I'm pretty fed. But something to keep in mind on Irelia. So for this match, I'm actually auto-aiming most of my third abilities. And you could do that. It's just that I haven't played much Irelia at all, so I'm not the most comfortable on him. But you're going to be able to learn, once you start playing him more, which instances you can auto-aim your third ability and which ones you can't auto-aim. The ones where you're approaching people from angles, you have to manually aim, but if they're like straight in front of you and they're running in a straight line and you're lined up with them, you can auto-aim and it'll land. Or like when you do your full-on combo with your ultimate first ability and then you throw out your third ability, you can auto-aim that just because you're super close to them. But again, if you're from a distance, definitely manually aim. That's the move. See over here now, they had no warding in the area. We had really good positioning, and that is a bad face check to do. Our Galio gets a super good knock-up, and I'm able to take down the Lee Sin too. So now, we're looking to get this Baron now. I didn't want to force it earlier. I know the Renekton wanted to take it earlier, but I think that's just a bit risky because we're in a really good position right now. I think we scale pretty well too. Even in the late game, we scale even better just because we have a Vayne, in my opinion. So I think that not taking coin flips is pretty big. I think you have to learn which teams you should coin flip on and which ones you won't. So if you're them in this case, they have a lot of early game champs. Misfortune, Lee Sin. Those champs are really strong in the early game. So if you're getting to this stage of the game where you're starting to fall behind and you're starting to get outscaled, I think this is a situation where you do take a coin flip on their part. But it's not something where we would take the coin flip. Because we outscale, like we're going to win team fights in the late game anyways. So there's no point taking a big risk. And also another thing that I've been really cautious of this match is Katarina, because although we are far ahead, it is a Katarina, and a Katarina can just completely change an entire match with one good combo. So whenever we're really close together, I'm always being aware of the Katarina, and I'm getting ready to chain CC them out. So over there, I actually think the Yasuo had burned his wind wall, so that's why I knew I can go for the combo. I get the flash out, the locket too, to give me a barrier, and get a good stun off, and I'm able to get the escape. So now I'm deciding, do I recall? Do I stay? And my team is staying, and we're just pushing everything down. So I actually just go to these camps to heal up a bit, and I start to head back into battle. And the runes I'm going are Conquer, Brutal, Conditioning, and Pathfinder. Those are like some of my go-to runes. I really have been enjoying Conditioning and Pathfinder lately. So we're pushing this in, and that's going to be it for this match. I hope y'all enjoyed this match. Hopefully I can get another match this weekend. But if y'all enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video.